Okay. Time's 5:30 on Saturday night. Here I am. Okay. So just waiting to see if anyone turns up. Hello. It's 5:40 on Saturday night, Saturday late afternoon or evening or whatever. I figure some of you might have little kids and you just finished putting them to bed, so you might be watching this. So anyway, that's why I'm here. So plus I got nothing to do right now. So anyway, welcome to the live. I'm just waiting for people to turn up. While we're waiting, oh, you're in Vancouver, BC? Really? Whereabouts? You don't have to tell me exactly. I'm very near Olympic Village, right in that area. What area are you in, Vancouver, Brittany? Yeah, I'm from Vancouver, so I'd love to know where you're from. I'm also half Australian. I spent most of Ottawa. Hello, Pauline. I spent about 20 years in Australia, so I'm Australian and Canadian. And I was in Sydney and Brisbane in Australia. We almost moved to Canberra, which is the capital. And it's a really strange little state. It just sort of sits in the middle of New South Wales. But it's all circular. The city is all built around the Parliament buildings. It's quite interesting, actually. It's in Canberra, Australia. Indiana. Hello, Heather. East Vancouver. Oh, okay. And that's amazing. I love your videos. Thanks so much, Brittany. Tulsa, Oklahoma. God, was there a movie in Tulsa? Why is that so familiar? Tulsa. Is that a show or something that someone was from Tulsa? Love your stuff. Thanks so much, Aubrey. I appreciate that. Working on becoming the best leader I can be to my kid. Way to go, Aubrey. Okay. Don't forget, we've got the Black Friday sale going right now. It's on the bootcamp courses. You can also check out the free behavior board and look into coaching. There's a wait list for coaching, but it's a pretty good turnaround right now. Although I don't know why. I never slowed down over Christmas. You'd think I would, but it doesn't. So Tulsa King is a new show. Maybe that's it. I've heard can't come up recently. Anyway, so yeah, my name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach, a mom, and a grandmother. So let's get going. I'm answering questions, but I'm also throwing in other stuff that I think is good to talk about. So Memphis, Tennessee. You know, I got to get down south one day. I got to check all that out. I love a Southern accent. You cannot have a Southern accent and not sound friendly. It's like impossible. I'm a grandma too to an 18-month-old. Oh, nice, Pauline. Yeah, my granddaughter's just 10 months old. Gosh, she's almost 11 months old. Yeah, it's lots of fun. Okay, so let's get going with your questions. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, the podcast is going really well. We're going to be doing, I think we're going to be doing 2 podcasts a week now. It's just taken off and we're really enjoying. My daughter and I do it together. She's my business partner, so we're having a blast. Fiji, I love your videos. Thanks so much, Palm Express. Palm Express. I'm assuming that's not your real name. Okay, Wagga Wagga, New South Wales, Australia. Wagga Wagga, never made it there. I never traveled around Australia when I lived there. I was just living in the suburbs raising kids, so didn't do any traveling. I got pregnant the day I arrived in Australia. So yeah, 9 months to the day after I arrived, my son was born. So yeah, and then I was sick, so I didn't spend a lot of time traveling, obviously. Like people have asked me, they said, oh, what's it like, what's it like traveling in Australia? And I said, well, I've never traveled in Australia. I only live there. It's a big difference. I never did any touristy stuff. Okay, so I'm just waiting for your questions. Oh, I got a couple people on YouTube too. YouTube's a search engine. I've got a big following, but YouTube's my smallest platform at the moment. So maybe one day. Do you have books? No, I'm actually 2025 is the year of writing a book. I've got I've been approached a lot to write one. But yeah, we're going to be doing it in 2025. So my daughter's given me permission because she plans everything. So she said, yep, 2025, we can do that. So we're in the process now. We're going through meetings and doing all that stuff. So I'm going to write a book 2025. It should be available, I guess, 2026. I don't know how that works. I don't know how those publishers do all that, but it takes a long time, understandably. Okay. So I'm just waiting for your questions. I'm not getting many questions yet. I'm not answering questions constantly like I usually do. I'm trying to mix it up with other stuff too. Oh, sorry, I'm just deleting something. I have all these tips I like to talk about, and then one of them was really dumb. I thought, why would I even write that down? Okay, I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. The toddler is the discovery age. Number 1 is child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. I've got a bunch of videos on that, by the way. Number 3, when you want to connect with a toddler, you do so in their world. You don't go to the nail salon with them. You go to the park and roll down the hill. And number 4, when you want to discipline a toddler, you do so in their world. They're not about words, they're about actions. So you use consistent corrective actions like repetitively, and they'll eventually learn. And number 5 is stop trying to figure out your toddler. They're not figure-outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. They don't know who they are yet, and you can't figure them out either, so don't even try. How do you help a toddler be more social? We attended classes as he's only 1.5. Don't rush it. He'll eventually learn. Don't expect a 1.5-year-old to be social. Yeah, just let them be whatever they are. Anyone that doesn't understand that they're not sociable, they just don't know kids. So yeah, don't try and rush it. I'm from California, living in Pennsylvania and working in a childcare center. I also have a 2.5-year-old son and an 18-year-old daughter. Working in childcare, wow, I can't imagine doing that. I don't do anything like that. I've only ever worked with kids one-on-one. So yeah, because I mother all the kids I've worked with. So, but yeah, childcare, wow, that would be hard, I would imagine. Okay, this is Darren Hutchins. Okay, I watch you often and your advice has changed my life and household. Excellent. My kids are happy and I don't need to yell. Thank you. Oh, you're very welcome. I always say I give you the advice, but you're the ones who do all the work. Parents are very hesitant to take credit for stuff. It's really funny. That whenever I say, like whenever a client, they'll say, oh yeah, okay, we figured that out. That's going well, but here's what I'm doing wrong. And I say, hold on. Let's celebrate your wins, right? So yeah, pat yourself on the back, take yourself out for dinner or something, because good for you. You've put in the work. Okay. At what age should you train your toddler to sleep in a kid's bed? Well, there is no age for that sort of stuff. There's not, they're all different. What I did with my kids is I waited till they flopped out in the, flopped over the side and fell on the floor. That's when I dismantled the crib with both my kids. So I just remember my son doing that. And he did it twice really quickly. I put him back in, then he did it again. The kids are so crazy. Anyway, so yeah, I took his bed apart really quickly and just put a mattress on the floor and surrounded it by pillows. Plus, if he rolls off of a mattress, he's only got 6-8 inches to go. So yeah, my attitude was as soon as they flop on the floor, that's when I put them in a bed. Any tips on getting a 2-year-old to be more gentle with baby brother? Nope. Good luck with that. It's just going to take time. They don't understand soft spots, brain bleeds, dropping the baby. They just don't understand all that stuff. So yeah, just keep them apart and, you completely supervise all contact. You just got to keep that baby safe because toddlers are not trustworthy. A 3-year-old whose appetite has changed drastically. She doesn't eat much. What can we do to help her? I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nutritionist, so I don't even want to touch that. I would take her to a doctor if you're really concerned. That's all I can say about it. I have no qualifications to discuss that. Although I will say with kids, and I don't know what's going on with your daughter, but they do go through, we all do though. Sometimes we eat more than others. We have different, and especially kids, they go through growth spurts. They call it growth spurts because they don't grow like this. It's like, I remember my son, he was really short for a long time. And then he hit 15, 16, and he shot up to 6 feet tall in about 6 months. He was my height, 5'6", and then within 6 months, he was 6 feet tall. So they go in spurts, and that's when they tend to eat a lot, right? When they're growing like that. And then when they stop growing for a while, then they tend to eat less. But I don't know what's going on with your daughter. You'd have to be the judge of that. The behavior board is at BratBusters.com. You'll see it could not be more lit up. It's all explained. We've actually just updated how you get it. You have to confirm your subscription. Legally, we're not allowed to collect emails and send stuff out to you. It's against the law. We have to ask your permission. You have to confirm it, blah, blah, blah. We have to jump through hoops to make it legal, right? So yeah, you just read, we've been very careful with all of our instructions on how you get the board. So anyone who's followed through with that has got the board. Or check your spam. Maybe it's gone in there, but we're even very careful about how that, they don't usually go in spam anymore. Every so often one will slip through, but we've even sort of figured that one out. So how do you deal with a 14-year-old who keeps lying? Just put on the behavior board, call it an accountability chart. The behavior board is completely free. It's for all ages, 3 and above, and just put down no lying. When he lies, there's a consequence. Just call it what it is. Oh, you're talking about you have a child in your center and all that stuff. Yeah, I don't discuss daycaring or anything. I only teach parenting. I'm very careful about that. A lot of my clients are teachers, principals, child psychologists, and I couldn't do their jobs, but they also struggle with parenting. That's how different they are. One's personal, the other is business. They're just different. So I only teach personal, like parenting. Okay. Oh, this is sweet. My cousin just told me about you to help with my toddler. She recommends you 100%. Mary. Thanks very much for that. A lot of my clients, I often say I'll go through like whole churches and neighborhoods because they'll recommend me to their friends or families. So I'll go through. You know what's funny about that is when a lot of my clients know each other because of that. So they'll compare notes and they'll say, did you get the same Lisa I did? That's what coaching's all about. I cater it to your individual needs. You all get different information, right? So it's quite funny that actually, I think it was 2 sisters a few years ago said they were convinced that it was a different Lisa. They actually had to figure it all out. And they said, no, it's the same one. And their kids were the same age, but the advice was very different. It's funny. I need help with my 3-nager. Every time I say I'm going to do something, he says, no, you're not. Or no, I'm not going to do that major feeder. Okay, every time I say I'm going to do something, he says, what do you care what he says? Do it anyway. What do you care what he says? So, oh, I'm going to go make dinner. No, you're not. Go make dinner. Why? I don't understand that. Does it matter what he says? Oh, you got a 3-year-old who runs away from you in public? Put him on a leash. Put a harness on them and say, this is because you run away from me in public and it's dangerous. And say, the next time you do that, you're going to be clipped in. So clip them in onto a leash, but do a trial run, like go somewhere you don't care where you're going. Because if you have to get somewhere and you put them on a leash, they're going to drop and scream, right? So you just don't always have time for that. So do some trial runs, go places where you don't even care if you ever get there. But they got to learn, this is a safety issue here. Is it better to have them on a leash or have them flattened by a bus, right? Someone wrote once, and they said, let me think about it. I didn't say that. They said that. 7-year-old boy slams doors when he has big emotions. Too many different directions I could go in with this. You can just put on the behavior board, no slamming doors, and then in brackets, I will decide when it's slammed. So even if he says it was an accident, say it doesn't matter, he still slammed it. A lot of people hide behind good intentions. Well, I didn't mean it. So what? You still did it. That sounds about right. She was really short and grew a few inches in a few months. That's your child who isn't eating much now. So I said maybe she's went through a growth spurt and now she's stopped. Yeah, it's funny because when the growth spurt stops, they do stop eating a lot. Like you'll just notice it like crazy. So I don't know. But I don't know if that's what's going on with her. I'm not a doctor, remember? I'm not qualified. Brisbane, Australia. Excellent, Bradley. Your videos are amazing and have been an impact to help our grandson. Well, I don't usually talk about grandparenting, but I'll read it anyway. It's because you're from Brisbane and that's my second home, right? My question, and I might not be able, oh, this is a very, very long question. Was taken out of daycare for hitting another child. Now he feels that he's a burden to his parents. Wait a minute. I don't have the age. He was taken out of daycare and now he feels he's a burden to his parents. He's only 4. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, I don't know. I can't read that whole thing because it might not pertain to a whole bunch of people. So it's really long. But yeah, I don't know. And I don't know why he feels he's a burden. He's a burden to his parents. Yeah, check out the behavior board. And they might want to look into coaching if it's that difficult. That's one-on-one with me. Yeah. Never buy me as a gift for someone. This happens, especially around Christmas. I'll be gifted to someone, like my coaching. And I'm like, don't do that, because that can be considered an insult. It would be like buying someone who has a few pounds to lose and buying them a gift certificate to a weight loss center. Make sure they actually want it and they're not going to take offense to it. I don't like to, be purchased as a gift. Yeah, I'm a high school teacher. Your tips help me with my twin 3-year-old and students. Very different roles. Like I could never teach. God, I think teachers are freaking amazing. I couldn't imagine doing that job. Do you know how many classrooms I've sat in the back of just dealing with, difficult kid at the back just to help the teacher out? And I just watch those teachers and I think, wow, what a difficult job. I could never do that. I know my strengths and weaknesses. Teaching would never be a strength. So good for you. Do you believe in spanking? No, I think it's like yelling. It's something that some parents do because they don't know what else to do. And there are other things to do. So yeah. It's one of those things that it may work in the short term, but in the long term, it's a disaster. It'll come back to bite you. I have a 13 and 15-year-old. Is it too late to change their bad habits? I specialize in teenagers. It's a lot more work. Absolutely. And that would be coaching. That's all I do. Or you can just try the behavior board on your own. Use it like an accountability chart. But I will read my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. Number 1, listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Number 2 is you negotiate as much as possible. You say, oh, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper from now on. What do you want from me? Negotiate as much as possible. Number 3, don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. Or do you want to hear what I did yesterday? We all make mistakes. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes. Number four, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. A lot of parents, I'll teach them how to connect with their teenager. Then they'll connect with them. And I say, do not discuss the bad times. Sure enough, every so often one will slip through and say something like this. Oh, I'm so glad that we're having fun today because the last 2 years with you has been really difficult. And they can't figure out why the teenager leaves the room. Can't put that together. So yeah, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. When do you discuss the bad times? Never. What's the point? What's the point? Number 5, you can be a right fighter with a teenager or you can be happy. You can't be both. I would say that with any adult relationship too. You can either be a right fighter or you can be happy. It doesn't mean that you're just laying there and people are walking all over you, but don't be a right fighter. If you know you're right, you don't need to say it. They already know anyway. Okay. So yeah, they already know you're right. But if you say it, they're going to fight back. But if you don't say it, they might get on board with your right. But yeah, you can either be a right fighter or you can be happy with a teenager. Parents will argue this with me. And you usually are right, by the way, when you're arguing with a teenager. You usually are right. Not always, but you usually are. But do you ever get anywhere being right? Being a right fighter? Do you ever get anywhere with a teenager by arguing your right point? I would guess never. So yeah, what's the point? So I'm just scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here when I answer your questions. I got a pretty good, pretty good crowd here tonight, considering it's Saturday night and it's on a long weekend. Do you guys you Americans, do you get Thursday and Friday off for Thanksgiving or just Thursday? I don't know. Okay. I don't want to talk about potty training because it's a whole system. You have to get my boot camp course if you want to know how to do that. It's a whole system. It's like a whole potty party. The boot camp courses are 25% off right now for Black Friday if you want to get in on that. So you might want to check that out. And yeah, that's it. But yeah, I can't give you any tips on it because that would be like giving you tips on flying without actually teaching you how to fly a plane. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a whole process. Oh, you got a 2-year-old who's kicking you on the change table. You got to win those physical battles. He's only 2. You should be able to overpower him. I remember when my kids first started squirming, we used to call it the crocodile roll because they were raised in Australia. I don't know if you call that here in North America. But anyway, they'd start doing the crocodile roll on the change table. They didn't do that very often with me. They learned pretty quick that when mom said, I'm going to change their nappy or diaper, as it's called here, when I'm going to change, and when I said I was going to change it, it got changed. I'd put my arm across their chest and I'd change them like that really fast. It might, they might have had 2 legs and 1 diaper hole. You know what I mean? It might have been a mess, but I got it done. So, but yeah, I followed through with what I said I was going to do. And they eventually learned, but you got to win these battles. You can't talk them out of it. That's the problem. They're physical. They're about actions. They're not about words. These mini therapy sessions discussing all their big feelings and all that garbage. It's absolute crap. That's not for toddlers. That's for the moms. Makes the moms feel good. I saw that coming in with the pleaser parent style 30 to 40 years ago. It started with participation awards. I remember thinking, are you kidding me? Is that really a thing? I couldn't believe it. And I remember years ago, I used to write a column in the province as the newspaper here, and it was as the parenting expert kind of thing. Anyway, so I remember once I read this article and I wrote about it. I was very careful. I didn't name the person or the specific thing, but in California, I think it was California. This was back, I don't know, in the 90s or something. I can't remember when it was. Anyway, 2000s probably. So evidently, someone in California was trying to sue the school for not giving their child a participation award for sports day. And they won the case. That child never even went to sports day. They stayed home that day. And they won. Wow. Talk about entitlement and messing your kids up. Messing your kids up. Wow. Is that messed up or what? Anyway, I had a lot of opinions on that. And that was the pleaser parent style coming in. And that was when all this discussion, big feelings and big emotions, when they're all mad. That's when that came in too. Big disaster. It's very good for my business because I get those parents when the kids are older and everything's backfiring big time. But I'd rather not get that business and you not go through that in the first place. I got Thursday and Friday off as well. It depends on the job. Oh, I see. Okay. I did something kind of interesting. Well, it's not. It's interesting to me. Anyway, I bought these headphones about 3 weeks ago, and then they went on Black Friday sale for $100 less. So it just kills me. I hate wasting money like that. Anyway, I didn't know they were going to go on sale, certainly not that much. Anyway, I called the store and I said, do you honor that? And they said, oh yeah, it's called price protection. And this is in Canada in a real retail store that you get, if within 30 days, you'll get that difference. You can get in on the sale. So I got a refund of $100. Who knew? I'm just spreading the news in case you didn't know that. Price protection. It's just in Canada that I know of anyway. And it's for retail. It's the law that they have to honor you can come back after 30 days if you didn't get the deal. Wow. That was amazing. Has nothing to do with parenting. Sorry about that. I just thought it was something to know. Okay. Let me see here. This is really interesting. Whenever I've worked with teenagers, they've all told me if they're in trouble, they've all said, I wish my parents had been tougher on me growing up. What's interesting is they all say it in different ways, but they all say it. They don't want parents to discipline them now, but they identify that discipline is love. And one of them said to me, it was really fascinating. I didn't see this coming. So I love kids so much, and teenagers are my favorite age, but they come out with stuff that just makes perfect sense. This teenager said to me, my parents didn't love me enough to make me a good person. Wow. He's in trouble and he's getting in a lot of trouble. And he figures his parents didn't love him enough to make him a good person because they were pleaser parents. They were giving in to him and not disciplining. And yeah, he was in big trouble. Anyway, that was a long time ago, but interesting, eh? Okay, I'm going to go over to I'm going over to Instagram now, and I'm on YouTube the whole time. Nice to see you again. Greetings from Vienna, Austria. Welcome, Mara Mara. I was going to try and say your last name. I couldn't get it out. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll be back again probably tomorrow. Don't forget about our Black Friday sale. Our bootcamp courses are 25% off right now. You can also go to BratBusters.com and look at the behavior board. Everything's there, and you can look into coaching. So I'm heading over to our podcast is out now. It's been out for a couple months. We're going to start doing 2 a week, I think. It's just gone really well, and people have asked for more. So Anyway, I'm shocked at all that. But anyway, so we're going to be doing, I think this week, my daughter does all the planning. I just do what she tells me to do. So it was really quite funny on the podcast. I said, my daughter's my business partner. We do the podcast together. And then I said, I could run the business without her, but it would be really hard. Like I'd have to hire 20 people and I still wouldn't give them access. She has access to everything. So, because that's mother-daughter stuff, trust, right? So then she said, well, Mom, I couldn't, it'd be hard to run the business without you too. That struck me as funny. I never thought about that. I'm just so grateful that I've got her to help me. But I guess she couldn't run the business without me either because I wouldn't be here. So that was kind of funny. You had to be there. It was funny. Anyway, I'm heading over to Instagram now if you want to join me over there. Otherwise, happy parenting. Bye now. Just a sec here. Whoops. Have you noticed on YouTube now, they don't send you your subscription videos right away, but at all anymore. I know why they don't do that, but they don't do that anymore. Did you know that? I'm subscribed to tons and tons of people on YouTube and they never send me their videos anymore. Even if I type in subscriptions, they don't all come up anymore. And so I have to go searching out the people I used to like because they don't send them to me anymore. Isn't that interesting? I know why they do it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but yeah, I wish they'd go back to the old way. Because when you would hit subscriptions in YouTube, it would show all the latest videos from all the people that you follow. It doesn't do that anymore. It sends you the odd one, but not like it used to. Okay, welcome to the live. I'm on Instagram and YouTube the whole time. I was just yammering on about YouTube. Anyway, my name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom. I'm also a grandmother. And if you check at BratBusters.com or in the link somewhere above here, you can get my free behavior board, my boot camp courses. They're 25% off right now. They run till Monday morning. It ends. I don't know. I don't want to say when it ends. I think it's Tuesday morning. I don't know. Check it out. It's on the website. Yeah. I don't do all that. My daughter does that. And I'm always messing up. So I don't even want to say when it ends. Anyway. So also you can look into coaching. So let's get going with your questions. I'll do my best. I also like to throw in a whole bunch of different stuff too, not just answering questions. Your tips have single-handedly helped me with my 3-year-old. He's the sweetest. Now entering 2s with my daughter. Entering 2s with my daughter. That's cute. Excellent. I'm so glad. That's why I'm here, is because I love helping. Parenting was the most fun I ever had. I'm really passionate about parenting. I just loved it. And I think it's probably the most important job in the world. And that's why I'm here teaching it, because I love doing it. I did find it enjoyable. I managed to get respect with my kids, and I really enjoyed raising them. So that's why I'm here. I'm just trying to share what I did. Doesn't mean it's the only way or the best way. I don't know. It worked for me and for thousands of people that I talk to. So I'm very grateful that I can share this knowledge and it's helping. Oh, you didn't put down an age. I need an age. And don't just put an age, because you have to put the whole question and the age, because I won't know. Sometimes people will go 2, but it could have been 3 or 4 questions or 20 questions back. So I don't know. You definitely gained my respect. Excellent. That's really sweet. I'm a very passionate person about parenting, because I'm not just here because I want you to raise good kids. That's a byproduct. I want you to enjoy parenting. That sounds kind of crazy, but what I mean is, yeah, I want you to raise good kids too. That's a byproduct. I want you to thoroughly enjoy it. Do you enjoy it when your kids are yelling and acting out? No. Do you enjoy it when they're really respectful and you can just relax and enjoy them and have fun with them? Yeah. That's what I want for you. I want you to enjoy parenting. It's not just about raising good kids. I want you to enjoy the process. You got 18 years with these little people. I want you to enjoy it. Or I guess these days you've got like 35 years with them. They seem to stay at home forever. My 5-year-old refuses to go to potty on his own unless we ask him all day long if he needs to go, and catch him right when he needs to go. He'll just go in his, he's got a pull up on. I would get rid of that. Certainly when you're home, I'd get rid of that for sure. Because there's nothing, I don't think he'd like the feeling of it running down his leg. So, and he's 5. I don't want to go into everything I would do with that. I don't know what's behind that, but yeah, I'd get rid of the pull-ups pretty quick, for sure. except in the car. And that you probably wouldn't be going in the car though. But then if you got a pull up on, he's going to go anywhere. So I probably wouldn't put him in the car. Oh, I don't want to go into it. I know exactly what I want to tell you, and that would be coaching, but I don't think you need to spend all that money just for that. So yeah, get rid of the pull-ups. My 4-year-old still jumps up and down screaming to the top of her lungs when something doesn't go her way. Is this normal for her age? Yes, if you're a pleaser parent, absolutely. If you're a leader, would never happen. Work on your leadership skills. Remember, it's never the kid. They're just a reflection of your parenting. So if you're a leader, there's no way that would happen. So check out check out BratBusters.com. Everything's there. You can get my free behavior board, the boot camp courses. There's 3 to 12-year-old would be the one for you. And they're on sale right now, 25% off because of Black Friday. So yeah, they're on special right now. I don't want to say when that ends because I know I get all that stuff wrong all the time. And then I'd have to go by whatever I said. My daughter would kick me because she's already written all this stuff for them. She has to keep me in line. A bit difficult to handle because I just say whatever I'm thinking. So also you can look into coaching. But yeah, if you were a leader, that would not happen. Not at 4. No. By the age of 4, they only do what works. Okay. Under that, they might just do that anyway. About 3.5 and under, they might do that once in a while, but not at 4, unless it works, which means you're a pleaser. So I'm just scrolling ahead to make sure you're still here when I answer your questions. It was really cute with my granddaughter. She's almost 11 months old now, and she's walking a few steps here and there and sort of standing on her own. It's funny. I said quite a while ago, I said, I don't know if she'll ever crawl. She'll probably just walk. She hasn't really crawled yet. She sort of creeps. But I think she'll just get walking soon. But anyway, she was holding on to one of the donuts, those donuts that stack on top of each other. She was holding on to one of them and doing stuff. And she was balancing for ages, not realizing it because she probably thought that this donut was holding her up. She didn't realize she was holding it up. I thought that was so cute. They hang on to something even though it's not connected to anything else, and they feel like that's holding them up. Oh, that was so cute. God, they're cute. So adorable. Such a typical grandmother, aren't I? Okay. Will it undermine my leadership if other adults let my daughter do what she wants? 22 months old. Depends who else is doing that and how often. If they live with you and they're doing that, it could definitely undermine you. Yes, it could. But if it's just once in a while, like grandparents, then I wouldn't worry too much about that. Let them do whatever they want. Or daycare, or whatever. Don't micromanage other people with your kids unless they're with you all the time and they live with you. Then you might want to say something. But yeah. Okay, 8 and 10. I'm so unsure when to help and when to let natural consequences play out. I don't quite know what you mean by that. I don't quite know what you mean by natural consequences play out. When to help and when to... So in other words, they're not doing well at school and you just let them not do well at school and then that's a natural consequence. The teacher does something like that kind of thing. I don't know. That would have to be a topic by topic discussion. I don't know what topic you're talking about. Like, in other words, when to help and when not. So if you think that they're going to go out riding their bike without a helmet, and then you see what I mean? I would interfere in that. I would help. I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't let natural consequences happen then. So yeah, it depends. It's topic by topic discussion. Oh God, 8-year-old. I don't want to go into it. 8-year-old. This is from fulltime_Scorpio. 8-year-old keeps on wiping his backside. And you tried making him clean his undies. That's a difficult topic. I don't think I want to talk about that. It does come up in coaching. You don't need coaching just for that, though. But yeah, I don't think I want to talk about that. I'll tell you why. It's quite graphic, but I don't discipline around that. Okay. I'd probably use incentive more than discipline. Yeah. Clean undies equals a good day. If you have a whole week with clean undies, maybe there'd be an arcade visit or something like that. That's what I would do. I don't discipline around bodily function, stuff like that. I probably shouldn't say this, but I have no filter. I was talking, I think it was on here, and it was a similar conversation. And the wife said, does this apply to husbands too? Oh God, I love what I do. Okay. Oh, you need to put the age, Emily, on YouTube. I need the age. I can't discuss that without an age. So make sure you put the age of your kids. Okay, this one's kind of tricky for me. The only reason I'm even gonna read it out because it is autism, and I only discuss that in coaching. But my 4-year-old is nonverbal but very smart and is able to comprehend. But sometimes it just seems like I can't get through to her. She's been diagnosed with ADHD and autism, but I don't believe it. Oh, I can't comment on that. But the only reason I brought that up is children who are nonverbal. It doesn't mean that all this doesn't apply to them. Like if they're just not talking much. If they can comprehend, all this stuff still applies. So, but a lot of people tend to interpret them being nonverbal as them being developmentally challenged or mentally challenged in some way. It's not always the case. And autism and ADHD are not considered mentally challenged necessarily. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's the same rules kind of apply. And just because they're nonverbal, the same rules that I talk about still apply, unless they have some issue. And autism is more, that's coaching because I don't know. They're all so different. I can't generalize. Thank you. Luckily, my partner has that one down pat. Very good. Oh, good. So many things I want to say to that one because I've talked to a few different people about stuff like that. And a lot of women have a lot to say about that with their partners. It's quite funny. Okay, how do I deal with different parenting styles? My husband lets our 4-year-old do whatever he wants and wants me to discipline once it's gone too far. In other words, yay, yippee. Okay, you deal with it. So wind them all up, get them all going, and then you deal with it. So yeah, just say that's not fair. So I want you to back me up from now on. So when I say, that's enough or whatever, then you just have to get on the same page. You don't have to be the same though, but you have to be on the same page. Or else you can even say, look, you wind him up and then you have to unwind him now. That's going to be the new rule. So that will stop it pretty darn quick if dad has to deal with the unwinding. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways we could go about that, but he can't do that. He can't do that to you. Woo, wind them all up and then here you go. It's not fair. How to teach patience to a 4.5-year-old. He wants things now. I don't teach patience. I teach you can't always get what you want. There's a difference between the two. Yeah. Can't always get what you want. That's okay. That's life. I don't always get what I want. Nobody gets everything they want. And patience implies that he's going to get it, but he has to wait for it. See the difference? So yeah, not quite. There we go. Okay. Oh, I just got a notice. I'm going to go see my granddaughter tomorrow. I need a fix. I'm feeling it. I got withdrawals. I haven't seen her in a couple of weeks. It's a 45-minute drive. So, and I work 7 days a week. So hard finding time. 3-year-old laughs whenever he's in trouble. It's not a happy laugh. It's just yeah, it's not a happy laugh. Just ignore it. It's in the attitude department. You ignore attitude. Okay. Okay. Almost 3-year-old will not poop on the potty, wants to put on a diaper to poop. Okay. It's usually a boy, by the way, and I'll tell you why in a second. It's very common that they don't like pooping on the toilet. And there's 3 reasons usually. I don't know for sure, but this is the 3 most common reasons. Is plot phobia. They've been splashed. So their poop hit the water and they got splashed back. And that's the reason why it's usually boys, because they got more equipment hanging out down there. So more to hit, right? More sensitive getting hit that. Anyway, the second one is hanging phobia. They don't like the feeling of the poop hanging there and tugging on their intestines when it's coming out. So that's why they like pooping in a smashed up diaper. The third one is cold. They don't like the cold butt. So that's why they also like the diaper, right? So there's no splashback, there's no hanging, and there's no coldness. So anyway, what you do is you say, okay, I understand you might have splashback, maybe it's whatever. You can explain that because he's 3, I wouldn't go on to it. But anyway, get a little porta potty, put some toilet paper in the bottom and say, look, you sit here, there's no water, so you won't get any splashback. And your bum's going to be on the bottom, so you can kind of lift up as your poop. You know what I'm saying? Sorry about this. It's just what a classy job I've got, eh? Anyway, talking about poop. Anyway, and then the third one is if they're cold, hike up the heat in the bathroom, or just get a big blanket and put it around them like a little tent, and they can watch something on the iPad or something while they're pooping, and you're right there. So yeah, sorry about that. Geez, I remember once years and years ago, I used to do a lot of TV and radio when it was more mainstream, right? So anyway, and I remember once I turned up to talk about potty training in the morning show, the breakfast TV show, and I turned up to talk about potty training, and they had bought a brand new toilet, and that was what I was on stage with to show potty training. Yeah, I was on stage with a toilet. Yeah, classy broad. You look like Darlene from Ozarks. Well, I'm going to look that up after this. Darlene. It's either a compliment or an insult. Someone was insulting me the other day, or a few weeks ago. They were trying to insult me, and they called me a Gen X or something. Gen Z? I don't know which one it is. I'm not. I'm a boomer. I'm even older. They were insulting me, thinking I was going to be. They were making me younger than I was. It just struck me as funny. Oh, someone on here, I think. Yeah. No, I'm a boomer. I'm really old. Struck me as funny. I love it when people try and be nasty. They're just exposing misery, right? They can't help it. That's okay. I had to go back to work. Did you answer my question? I haven't got a clue. I don't know. I could have. I don't know. All my lives are saved on YouTube. So if you're that interested, you'd have to go back on YouTube and check it out. I don't really see the names when I'm answering questions. I'm just reading the questions. My 5-year-old misbehaves when we were at parents' house, and I tell him, okay, you're trying to discipline him when you're out. That's harder to do. You should still do it too, but get consistent at home because he's 5. And if he's acting out anywhere, it's because you're not a leader yet. He's just reflecting your parenting. And of course, he's going to get worse when you're out because he thinks he can get away with it, which he probably does. So yeah, you might want to check out the boot camp course. It sets you up as a leader. It's like a 5-week program. And the Black Friday sale's on right now, just on the boot camp courses. So you might want to check that out. I'm going to read this out just because I'm going to set you straight on this. Sorry about that term. Sounded so bossy. But anyway, how about if a friend's child, 2 years old, is unsociable, says no constantly, won't play? How to tell friend without overstepping bounds? Is that even possible? It's none of your business. I would never say anything to a parent about their kid. Never. Even if kids were hurting my kids, I just picked my kids up and sat them with me. I never, ever corrected anyone else's child when that parent was around. I would deal with them if I was in charge of them. But yeah, I would never tell a parent how to parent in my personal life, ever. It would be like someone saying to you, let's say you had some extra weight on you. How would I tell a friend that they need to lose weight? It's like that. There's no nice way of doing that. Okay, it's an insult. How to replace the Darlene. Here's to replace the Darlene. I don't know who Darlene is, so it doesn't matter to me. You must feel incredibly accomplished to help so many parents daily. Imagine all the impact you've had on children around the world. Yeah, I don't think about that too much, but I do think about when I'm with my clients. I always tell my daughter, it's like I'm in a trance. We had a really stressful work day one day. Something crashed in our website and, oh, geez. Anyway, really, really stressful day. Also, it was one of the busiest coaching days I've had in a long time. And I was like almost in tears. We were trying to deal with all this stuff that was happening behind the scenes. Second I see my clients, I'm just in heaven. I'm in a whole other world. I love coaching parents. It is a real gift to be able to help people. Like what I mean is I feel like I'm very lucky to be able to help people. It's such a good feeling. And I get really obsessed with their results and I get really into it. I get emotional. I take it seriously. I love what I do. Love it. But I've paid my dues for this business. I've been doing this for 17 years and I put in decades of volunteering with kids. I never worked with easy kids. So I've paid my dues. I've paid my dues. What if another child is disrespecting you in front of their mom and dad and they don't do anything? None of your business. None of your business. I don't say anything. If they hit me, I might prevent them from hitting me again, but I would never say anything. No way. Why are you all hating? Darlene was a good one. I don't know who that is. I may look it up. I may not. That's okay. That's okay. It's not about parenting. Let's be parenting. Okay. I'm going to read out something that I thought was really interesting. It was on a live one day, and this mom, she had an 8-year-old little girl, and she says, what should I say to her? Evidently, and the mom admitted it. She goes, look, my kid's a bully. She's always being mean to all these other kids. Nobody likes her. And then she comes home. She's just been rotten to all these other kids. And then she comes home crying because nobody likes her. And she goes, what do I say to her? And I said, I would say, you've got to be likable to be liked. Would you like you if you met you and you know what I mean? Like, you've got to be likable to be liked. She just feels like she should be liked for no reason. Like, as she's entitled to be liked. So you got to teach, but like I taught my kids, I said, when you're at home, you are treasured. The sun shines out of your butt around here, and I will make sure we've got a really happy home. And, I mean, I just adored my children, but I said, no one out in the world gives a crap about you. You got to earn that. You got to earn respect from other people. You got to earn love from other people. You got to work for that. At home, it's unconditional. But out in the world, this little girl seemed to think that she was entitled to be liked by everybody, even though she treated them all like garbage. So the mom said, thanks, I'm going to give it a try. I don't remember if she got back to me or not. It was on a live. But yeah. Okay, natural consequence. I remember that. I won't go into it for anyone else, but if they remember me saying to get their items. Okay, so what the mom was saying was, should I just let things happen to them like natural consequences, or do I interfere? So me saying to get their items together on our way out, water bottle, Frisbee for the park, a book a book for the drive. They dilly-dally, and I want to say, oh, well, you had your chance. If they want to go somewhere, I would say, we're leaving as soon as you've got all that stuff together. And then I would just stand there. And if you never leave, that's up to them, because it sounds like it's somewhere they want to go, right? So I would just say, we're leaving as soon as you've got everything together. And I would just have a list of everything. Yeah, and then it's up to them. You may never go. And say, we're only going to be there for an hour, or we can only be there till 3, so it'll be a shorter time that we're there. They'll eventually learn. I'm assuming that they're older, because if they're grabbing all that stuff and they're a book and everything, then they're probably 5 and over, right? So they can understand that. Yeah, we're going to come home at 3, but we're not leaving until as soon as you got all that stuff ready. Then I just stand there waiting if they're 5 and over. No, you can't start the behavior board with a 2.5-year-old. They are, so every month makes a big difference when they're really little. Not when you're 64 years old like me, but when you're really little, like 2, every month makes a difference. That behavior board starts at the age of 3 for a really good reason. That's when that frontal lobe or cortex or whatever you call it. I always think of it as that punching bag, like in the back of your throat, that frontal lobe. I think it's called a frontal lobe. Think of it like it's that thing there. Little punching bag. Anyway, that starts to develop really at that age. And what it is it's the source of reasoning. They're able to stop and think before they act. Doesn't mean they're going to, but they have the ability to learn to stop and think before they act. You need that to do the behavior board. Some kids will do it just 1 month shy of 3 years old, but by 3, they can start to do it. Oops, I got to go over to TikTok now. If you want to join me over there, it's BratBusters Parenting. Don't forget the Black Friday sales on right now on the boot camp courses, not coaching, just the boot camp courses. So if you want to check that out, it's all at BratBusters.com. That's my website. So let's see now. Oh, I'm not even going to read that. Sorry. I'm hopping over to TikTok now, so you can join me over there. Happy parenting. Oh, gosh, so many buttons to push. There we go. Okay. Oops. So I'm just waiting for people to join up. This is where I usually take a water break because my throat gets really sore. I can coach all day long, but it's back and forth with clients. But here it's just me talking. So my voice really starts to give out, especially this time of night. I got to get going soon, actually. I won't be on for very long. Okay. Transitioning from crib to big bed, please help. Depends on the age, but as soon as my kids flopped out of the crib, I put them on a bed, or I put them on a mattress on the floor. So yeah, it's a transition. Just put them to bed and say, okay, good night. And then you walk out, make sure they got a sound machine, lights or whatever, leave a night light on. And you can sit beside them on a chair and give them your hand and pretend you're falling asleep. If they're really little, that can work too, because they might be scared, they might want to get up. Don't let them get in your lap. Just keep putting them back there and pretend like you're nodding off, and they can have your hand so they're not scared. Okay. But there's a lot of different ways of doing that. But okay. Welcome to the live. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom. I'm also a grandmother. And if you want to check out my website, it's BratBusters.com. My big Black Friday sale's on right now throughout the weekend, and I think on Monday also. And you can check that out. It's just on the boot camp courses. I have 2 of them, one for toddlers, one for 3 to 12 years old. Why on earth would I have a course from 3 to 12 years old? It's not that they're the same, but your parenting is very similar. And it's all broken down into different examples for different age groups too. But it's really good reference material. A lot of my coaching clients actually bought the course to keep it as reference throughout the years. I don't know if you need that if you've got coaching, but anyway, a lot of them have done that too. But it's good reference material. There's a ton of stuff in there. Anyway. And we just beefed it all up. We added a bunch more stuff. Both of those courses are quite new. And one's only 6 months old, the toddler one. The other one's like 1.5 years, I think. So yeah, we just beefed them all up. We put a whole bunch more videos in there, and it's all because of your feedback on them. You tell me what you want, and we put it in there. Then do you sneak out once they've fallen asleep? Oh gosh, yes. And shut the door behind you. I like them to be able to get out of the door though, or I want to be able to hear them anyway. Like I don't like to lock a kid in a room. There's a lot of different reasons for that, but I like them to be able to get out. Or else I still want them to be able to get out, but you could put a bell on the door, an alarm on the door, so you wake up or hear them when they do get out. And then you just put them back to bed, and you can sit on the chair and hold their hand again. This is if they've just come out of a crib. They might only be 1.5 or 2. They're really little, okay? I'm just going to read some notes that I have here because I like to throw other stuff in. Oh, gosh, let me see here. I'm going to talk about accountability because to me, leadership is about showing respect to get it, right? You don't just expect to be respected. I give it to get it. Anyway, I'm going to tell you a funny story, and it's a good lesson in this too. My son was about 8 years old, and the PlayStation was brand new. And he had I've told this story a few times before. Anyway, he had a memory card, and he'd been working on this game, like a racing game, I think. I can't remember. Who cares? Anyway, it's gaming. I don't really understand it. Anyway, so he had been working for weeks on this, and he was up to a certain level. So every day he was, I got to level 17 or whatever. I don't know. And then he'd save it on the memory card. So Saturday night, he goes to bed. My husband and I stayed up, and we're playing on the PlayStation. We were playing Crash Bandicoot. And I actually did finish it, by the way. I actually mastered Crash Bandicoot. It only took me like a year. Anyway, and I'm playing Crash Bandicoot, and then I saved it. And my husband said, I said, what? And he goes, you know what you just did? And I said, what? And he goes, you just saved over his game. And I said, no, I didn't. No. And he goes, okay, find it. I had done it. I'd saved over his game. He'd worked for weeks to get to this certain level, and I had erased it. I'd saved my Crash Bandicoot level 2 on his level, 17. And anyway, and I barely slept that night because I knew how important this was to my son. I felt horrible. So Sunday morning, I'm like having my cup of tea in the kitchen, waiting to hear him starting to wake up. And I hear him starting to wake up in the morning, stretching and that. So I go in there. I said, morning, sweetie. I said, look, I've got to tell you something. I said, you know how you save your game and that? And he's got this look. And I said, unfortunately, I accidentally saved over top of it. And he went to cry, like big tears. And he went like that. And I said, but if you don't cry, I'm going to buy you a brand new PlayStation game to make it up to you. And he went, oh. So he got a brand new PlayStation game out of it because you make amends, right? You give respect to get it. So I bought, and they were $80, these new games. So anyway, I bought him a brand new PlayStation game. And then they got me my own memory card, and I wasn't allowed to touch anybody else's. So anyway, the joke became that every time I'd try and save my game, he'd try and slip his memory card in so that I'd erase his game and he'd get a new game. But the funny part is it took him like 2 hours to get to the same level he'd been at. So it was no big deal anyways, because he was so good at the game at that point. So he raced right up to the same level he was already at. Anyway, that's what respect's all about. You make it up to your kids. You mess up, make it up to them. So, which leads me into my little spiel about how to apologize effectively. You do this with adults, you do it with older children especially. How to apologize effectively. You want to be accountable, right? There's 4 steps to a good apology. The first one is say you're sorry. To me, they're just empty words. I don't care about it. The second step is take full accountability and responsibility for what you did. Say, I'm sorry I was late, but it was your fault. If you hadn't, a lot of people just use that passive aggressive. I'm sorry, but if you hadn't done that, like they're blaming the other person. So the second step, take full accountability and responsibility. The third step, make amends. What can I do to make it up to you? If they don't come up with something, you offer something. And then the fourth one is don't keep doing it. So that's the 4 steps to a good apology for adults and kids. I'm sorry, it was all my fault. What can I do to make it up to you? And don't do it again. Or else that apology kind of meant nothing. I have a real thing about the words I'm sorry. They're so overused now. I said I was sorry. You're not very forgiving. But you massacred my whole family. Yeah, but I said I was sorry. The words I'm sorry. They even want that in court now. Are you sorry? Like, who cares? Who cares? The words I'm sorry, it's like it doesn't matter what you do. You can just say I'm sorry and it's all over. Where's the amends? Where's the becoming a better person and not keep doing it? Where's all that? Okay. I'm going to read out. I haven't read this. I don't read this very often. I don't like what I wrote. I don't like the way I wrote it. I like the message, but I don't like the way I wrote it. Anyway, I'm going to read it out anyway. I should figure this out. I should make it so I like it better. Anyway, these are my top 3 leadership qualities. Number 1, you be calm during the storm. So when you're disciplining, you stay completely calm. It's like a business transaction. Number 2 is you be crazy during the rainbows. The rainbows are the happy times. That's when you can be crazy. I used to chase my kids around the house with underpants on my head. And the third one is by the time they're like 5 around there, you become a great listener. It means you listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. Talk about the crazy stuff. It was interesting. My daughter and I do it. She's my business partner. We're doing a podcast. We do a podcast together. And she was saying, she goes, I didn't realize how different you were until friends would visit. And they'd go, wow, what's with your mom? So I was crazy. It's my basic nature though. Okay. If it's not your nature, there's other ways that we connect with kids and do that. But yeah, my basic nature is kind of goofy. So I fit right in with kids. I always say I'm very in touch with my inner toddler. My daughter said, actually, she wouldn't call me a toddler so much as just you have a real sense of wonder. I get excited very easily by things. So I'm kind of like a little kid that way. I run with my emotions. She runs more with her head. I run more with my emotions. So that's why I think I relate to kids so well. The podcast is BratBusters Parenting, and it's my daughter and I. We do it together. And it's on all the platforms, which I don't know what they are, but Spotify, Apple. What else is there? I don't know. Anyway, it's on our website, BratBusters.com. Everything's on there. The Black Friday sale is still on. It'll be on through the weekend. And I think it's on Monday too. But anyway, it's just on the boot camp courses if you want to check into that. Yeah, I agree with you, MSD 2013, but I don't want to talk about it anymore, but I agree. Don't get me started. How do you keep a toddler from running away in a busy street? I put them on a leash. You can either put your child on a leash if they're a runner, or I don't know why I did it like that, but if they're a runner, you can put them on a leash or you can have them flattened by a bus. There's no way I would apologize for putting my kid on a leash if they were a runner. There are 4 things that children are born to do or they're never going to do. It's in their DNA. One is running, one is climbing, one is hitting, and one is tantrums. They're born to do it. It's your job to control them as they get older and teach them out of this stuff. But yeah, you say to them, look, you stay with me. If you run away, you're going to be put on this leash. So go out with a harness on. As soon as they start to run, be ready for it. Grab them, clip them in, and leave them clipped in for the rest of that outing. They're going to drop and scream, and that's okay. That's part of the lesson. They're learning. I know it's annoying. I know. And what are your thoughts on screen time for 2-year-old? I don't have any thoughts on that. That's your own personal view. That's your own personal stuff. You've got to decide what's right for your kids. I can't tell you that because nobody really knows. There's no jury out on that, right? I remember, this is such a bad, I'm really bad at analogies, but I remember hearing about this. I am actually younger. Too young to remember this. But evidently when Elvis Presley first came out, all the parents were trying to have him banned because he swings his hips. They were terrified what he was going to do to all their kids. Like there's always, my point with that is every generation has something. Now it's screens. In my day, it was, what would it have been in my day? I don't know. It reminds me of I told it, I think, on Instagram. Someone was trying to insult me for being old, and they called me a Gen X or Gen Z, I think Gen X, whatever it is. I'm not. I'm a boomer. I'm even older. They were actually flattering me. Oh, yeah, I'm old. I thought that was funny. I love it when people try and be nasty. It doesn't bother me at all. They're just exposing their own misery. I get that. But it's funny because they were trying to insult me. That's like that time I was mad at my dad once. How stupid was I? I was mad at him. And I said to my dad, I was like, I don't know, 7 or 8. And I said, I wouldn't love you if you weren't my daddy. In other words, love you, Dad. And I couldn't figure out why he was laughing so hard. I wouldn't love you if you weren't my daddy. I was mad. So, yeah. Whoo. Boy, did I ever tell him off, eh? You're the coolest boomer. I don't know about cool. But yeah, I'm a boomer. And what else came up recently? Something about boomers. Well, I was raised by very progressive. My mother was very progressive. She talked about everything and very openly. It wasn't like that with most parents. There was a huge generation gap between parents and kids when I grew up. Like I never would have dressed like my mom for sure. But I did talk to my mom. We talked like friends more. So that was unusual back in the day. But nowadays, I think parents have gone the other way. They're friends with their kids, but not they don't do the parenting. I did both. I was definitely friends with my kids. I talked to them like equals, like we were buddies for sure. But when I needed to be, I was mom. That was very clear. They knew I was mom. So yeah, if they stepped a toe out of line, I was mom like that. And they knew it. But yeah, my mom, the generation gap was unbelievable. And you know what was interesting back in the day with my parents in their generation was they never seemed to change their style. They never changed their music. My mother listened to Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, all those old ones, but she never changed or updated it ever. I'm listening to everything. I love all the new stuff all the time. That's the difference. I think they were more, I don't know why would they never change their style in music? And the way they're dressed was very similar too. They never seemed to update things. They just, wherever they were when they became parents, they stayed like that. They dressed the same. They listened to the same music. It's quite interesting. And that's why I think it was harder to relate to because we didn't listen to the same music or anything. So. What do you do when your 3-year-old goes down a rabbit hole and cannot move on after getting their way? So are they tantruming or arguing? If they're arguing, just ignore them. If they're tantruming, just ignore them. Let them do that. That's okay. If they keep going on and on and on, that says to me it must bug you. That's why they do it. Yeah. So I would just pretend I didn't even notice it. Okay. So I'm just going to read some stuff from my notes here. By the way, this comes up a fair amount. I do talk about a lot of the same comments because stuff keeps coming up. A lot of parents are very prone to praising their children. Not a bad thing. But kids don't care much about it. Praise is not their love language. Fun is their love language. Okay? What I mean by that, you've got a 5-year-old little boy and you say to him, you're wonderful, you're special, you can do anything you want. I love you. Everybody loves you, blah, 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 blah. You're beautiful. And I'm going to go do the dishes now. You look at his face. Now you say to that same 5-year-old boy, hey, what are you doing? Can I play too? Look at his face. Parents tend to overpraise and underplay. I'm not cutting down praise. I'm just saying don't replace play with praise. Yeah. Play with your kids more in their world. Play on their level, not yours. You find your inner child when you're playing with a kid. Let them be in charge of the play. And another thing that comes up quite often is parents will say, well, do I give my kids choices? And I say, yeah, when you're playing with them, that's all them. Give them all. What do you want to play? Okay, they're in charge of the play. Everything else, you're kind of in charge. Brushing, going to bed, brushing their teeth. They have to put their dishes in the dishwasher. You're kind of in charge of all that stuff. Don't give them options with that. What outfit do you want to wear today? You got a 2-year-old, he's just going to have a tantrum because he can't make a decision. And then he gets mad because you've given him all this control, and then he thinks he can have it with everything. But when you're playing, they do decide, they can learn pretty quickly that they're in charge of the play, but you're kind of in charge of everything else. You don't need to give them options. What do you want to eat for dinner? And then if you give kids choices like that, they often throw out anything you hand them anyway, even if they've chosen it. Have you noticed that? Do you want this for dinner or that for dinner? Oh, I want mac and cheese. And you give them mac and cheese and they throw it on the floor and they say they want the other thing. Do you want me to go into all the psychology of that? But yeah, they're just controlling you. They're playing you like a fiddle. So don't give them choices with the big stuff that you really don't want them to play you with. You know what I mean? Okay, I got to get going. Sorry about that, but I have to go. Thanks so much for joining me. Check out the Black Friday sale. We've got it running with the boot camp courses right now. It's on BratBusters.com. That's my website. You can also look into coaching, and the behavior board's completely free. It always was free. It always will be free. It's completely free. It also has a toddler section on it now, too. We just added that a few months ago. So happy parent. Oh, and our podcast is doing very, very well. We're going to be doing, I think, twice a week now, 2 podcasts a week. People have asked for more, so we're going to give you more. So thanks so much for listening. We're very blown over by the reception of that podcast. My daughter and I do it together, which is so much fun. Imagine that. I'm teaching parenting, and my business partner is my daughter, and we're talking about parenting. Isn't that great? Anyway, I got to go. Thanks so much for joining me, and we'll talk again soon. Bye now.